Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube, and I wanted to do a video here about the American Pharaoh. If you're not familiar with my channel or my work, please check out some of my other videos, and you'll see that oftentimes the kind of videos I do explore the language of symbols in our world. I do believe that the veil is lifting on this reality. I do believe we're living in the, as they call, the end times. We are approaching the fifth age. That'll be the last age of man, the age of Aquarius, the age of the Antichrist. I also often quote, it's one of my favorite quotes from Confucius, and it says that this world is not ruled by rules nor laws, but by signs and symbols. And that's a very old quote. The point of me telling you that is that this is what's been in place for a very, very long time. The language of symbols, the secret language of the occult, all of this stuff has been hidden for many, many years. But over the last few years, people are becoming aware. People are, quote, waking up to this reality. And I wanted to explore some of that about the recent story with the horse American Pharaoh. And so I want to explore some of this language of symbols, and we have a perfect example in the American Pharaoh, which is a horse that recently won the Triple Crown. So I've seen a few videos out there from a few friends of mine here on YouTube that are covering the numerology behind this whole event, the gematria. If you'd like to see more on that, I would recommend my friend on YouTube, Zachary Hubbard, Hubbard, and he's done a lot of work with the numbers and numerology, not just around this event, by pretty much around every event. So please check that out because the numbers are there. And that numerology, that gematria, all of this stuff goes back to the mystery schools, the mystery religions. These can be considered some of those secrets from Solomon's tomb, some of the secrets that the Masons have kept for years, the Illuminati, if you will, have kept for years. But once again, we're living in a time where all those secrets in the lodge, all those secrets from the secret meetings, all those secrets from the shadows are all starting to come out. Everything is being revealed. So once again, do a little research here, if you like, on the American Pharaoh and the numerology that follows. I'm sure there'll be more people making videos on that as well. I'm just going to cover the numbers in a very basic way because there's some other things I want to show you about this entire thing that happened. Now me personally, I'm just going to cover the basics on a few of the numbers because there's some other things I really want to show you. Obama is the American Pharaoh. And if you know biblical history and you know about Egypt and you know about what the pharaohs did, you can start seeing these things lining up. You can see America is in a lot of trouble. Obama is America's Pharaoh. Now, by extension, this is another one of those reasons we so often see this pyramid hand sign, and we see a lot of the so-called Illuminati symbols. And I've said this in other videos before, but symbolism, when you're trying to understand symbols, they oftentimes have multiple meanings. So a lot of times, as a catch-all, we call this Illuminati. We could call it Satanism. We could call it what these people are Luciferian, Luciferianism. All of these are symbols of the beast system. But it's interesting to see that connection with the American Pharaoh, with Egypt, what's happening with America now, and all of these so-called Illuminati pyramids or hand signs. Obama is America's Pharaoh, and we see this played out time and time again in all kinds of ways. I'll show you another one right here. And as I say time and time again on the channel, a lot of these things come through in the spiritual, and not everyone's going to have understanding of this. A lot of people are going to see this and think it's reaching or whatever, but that's not the case. And once again, if you're not familiar with my work, check out some of the other videos on the channel. I show this kind of thing time and time again. Right here I just went to the Google Images search and I put in J. Pharoah Obama because on the television show Saturday Night Live there's a cast member actually named J. Pharoah, and one of the characters he portrays time and time again is President Obama. So once again we have that connection to the American Pharaoh, Obama the American Pharaoh. As I said, I'm just going to briefly cover some of the numbers. I've seen some other people are kind of covering that as well. I'm going to give you just some basic things, but once again, remember, we're putting all this together. It takes more than just one thing. We need confirmations, and we're trying to understand the language of symbols and the way things play out and the way things are put together. Like if you're watching a movie or a TV show or a commercial and say you see one hand sign or one symbol that we usually associate with the beast system or the Illuminati or the Fifth Age or whatever, then typically it's hard to say if that was really intended to be there or not, if there's any real intention behind it. You know, sometimes a pyramid's just a pyramid, right? But in this case, there's a lot of things lining up around American Pharoah. And right here, he has the number 18, of course, and this is when he won the Kentucky Derby. And this picture right here is from whenever they won the Triple Crown. This right here is actually from the Belmont Stakes at Belmont Park. Now what's really important to keep in mind here is that they actually won on 6/6/2015. And of course the 5 and the 1 is the other 6. So you have your 666. And of course during the Kentucky Derby, once again we have the 18, another representation of the 666. And additionally, just with the 6s, you can see right there on his boots, kind of a little lower on the picture, but you can see the monster emblem. And once again, that also stands for 666. And I'm going to show you some more on that in a moment. Something else I want you to see in this picture right here is, again, the 5. And this goes back to the 5th age, the last age of man, the fully matured New World Order, the age of the Antichrist, the age of Aquarius. I've covered the 5 extensively. It also comes as a V quite often in a lot of modern pop culture. And as I said, once again, we have to look at this through the spiritual. Not everyone's going to understand these things. It's not like all of these people exactly planned all this out the way it is. These are messages we receive, once again, through the spiritual. The veil is being lifted. We're living in a time where we're able to see the real intention behind all of these things that are happening. Now this may be all new to you, and if it is, please go do your own research and you're going to see that this monster energy drink, this whole symbol has been decoded a long time ago. I made a movie 7 or 8 years ago now called The Scariest Movie Ever Made. And even back then, I'd put this in that movie. And I'm not the one that first discovered it. I don't know who it was that first saw it, but I'm glad they did, and they put it out there. And now you can see it turning up in videos all the time. People are always putting the Monster energy drink in. Because if you do the research, you'll see that those symbols right there, it's supposed to look like a claw mark, or claw marks that come together as an M or whatever, right? This is how we're supposed to see it. This is what we're supposed to assume. But as you know, most of this world really is in the occult. You know, this is the devil's kingdom, right? And oftentimes we have to look a little deeper to understand what's really going on there. So Monster Energy Drink is a great example. Those are Hebrew letters. It's the Va. It's the 6th letter in the Hebrew alphabet individually. So there's 3. So you have your 666, and of course the Unleash the Beast, right? And then you have the crucifix and the O. So every time you're tilting the can, you're also inverting the cross. And here's a better shot of the boots right here with the 666. And as I said, there's a lot of people out there who are doing a lot of work on the numbers that follow this, and they're going to go way deeper into it than I am. I'm just showing you some of the basics, but it's really interesting because you'll see the number 18 turn up time and time again. Even right here, the post time for the second leg of the Triple Crown was, that's right, 6:18. So now we're going to take it another step, and I want to show you something else really interesting with the horse American Pharoah. And you know, with all this stuff we're talking about the 5th age and the 666 and all this, and I've mentioned this in other videos as well. You know, the enemy goes by many names, but we know that this Illuminati, a lot of the people at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, these people really do worship Lucifer. They worship Lucifer and his fallen angels. And what was Lucifer? What's another name for Lucifer? Lucifer is also called the morning star. You can also see him as the falling star, or the fallen star being cast down to the earth. This is another one of those reasons you see the star on all these different things, all these products from corporations. You see it in movies, you see it in TV shows. We see the star all over the place. So keeping all of that in mind, and keeping in mind what I've already shown you, all these interesting connections here with the American Pharaoh horse, ultimately connected to the Fifth Age, by extension connecting to Lucifer, or the coming Antichrist. As I said, oftentimes these symbols have multiple meanings. It's very interesting to see the way they manifest. Take a look right here at number 2. They're talking about the horse American Pharaoh, and it turns out that he has a faint white star on his forehead. And lastly, I want to show you something really interesting. It's another interpretation of what the Triple Crown is. And this right here is the Hierophant. It's also known as the High Priest in some tarot decks. He's the masculine counterpart to the High Priestess. The Hierophant is represented by a religious figure sitting within a formal church environment, wearing 3 elaborate vestments of his office that represent the 3 worlds. The crown he is wearing has 3 tiers to it. It's the Triple Crown. His right hand is raised in benediction, the same hand the magician is raised. While the magician was taking raw power from the universe and manifesting it on the material plane, the Hierophant channels the power through society, as in the religions of the world. The Hierophant is also a master of occult mysteries. He wears the Triple Crown of the 3 kingdoms. And he also holds open the book signifying access to secret knowledge. Now I want you to take a look at the lower end of the card here, and on the sides right there you see 2 ministers. These men are representing the 2 ministers. It's a purified desire for spiritual learning. What's most important is look at what's on their jackets. On the left side you have the roses, and on the right side you have the white lilies. So here we have the stern Hierophant raising his hand in blessing over the heads of 2 kneeling acolytes. He wears a robe decorated with the roses of desire and lilies of thought. And here's the American Pharaoh draped with roses after his Kentucky Derby victory. So it's interesting to note that oftentimes in these races, the owner of the winning horse will actually be given a garland of roses and also a garland of lilies. Which brings us back once again to the Triple Crown and the roses and the lilies. I also want to show you another connection back to the race, back to the American Pharaoh, and back to the 5. Because if you look above the Triple Crown, you'll see the V, you'll see the 5. The Hierophant also represents the 5. The Triple Crown, the roses, and the lilies. So putting all of this together, it'd be easy to say that the American Pharaoh, quote unquote, is waiting to take the crown after the ashes of World War III. And this is the way I see it all coming together. So once again, I know when we go into this kind of language, this occult language, the language of symbols, it's not for everybody. Not everyone's going to understand this or connect with it. But this is the way things are playing out. You can't just take the official story, anymore. You can't do that. You can't, oh, well, they told us what it is, so, it's good. No, you've got to look deeper. You have to use your spiritual eyes, because these are the times we're in. And I'm not a preacher, and I'm not a big religious guy, and that's going to throw people because I'm deeply spiritual. But that's what all this comes back to, and I have to say that, now is decision time. It's decision time for everybody. It has been for a very long time, more so than any other time in history, I would say, because we really are right there on the verge of this 5th age, this Antichrist age. So, like I said, it's decision time, and I'm not talking about chocolate or vanilla. I'm talking about your spiritual decision. I would just say keep your eyes open, guys. Keep striving to get back to God. Keep striving to understand God. I believe that Jesus Christ really is the key out of all of this, that we have to accept that free gift. And by extension, that takes us back to God. It connects us with the Creator, the real God. And these are the times we're in. This is why so much of this stuff is playing out now in the spiritual. So that's the video. I just wanted to show you some of the connections I'm finding in this, folks. This really is ritual played out right before our eyes. It doesn't mean that it was all planned. It doesn't mean that it wasn't by people. You know, we don't know. But I do know that this stuff plays out in the spiritual, and we have to follow the signs and the symbols. It's a completely different language than what most of us are used to. So anyway, thanks for checking out the video, guys. Stay aware out there, and keep your eyes to the skies, and I'll talk to you later.